My boss Brenda looked at my luxury company car in the executive parking lot and asked one simple question, Alicia, why is your husband driving this? Before I could even process what she meant, I turned to see Jason, my husband, the company's chief financial officer, pulling out of my designated spot with his mistress in the passenger seat, both of them laughing like they owned the world. What Brenda did in the next 60 seconds didn't just shock everyone in that parking lot, it changed my entire life. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're a subscriber, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. I'm standing in the executive parking lot of Morrison & White Financial Group in downtown Chicago, coffee in hand, having just gotten out of an Uber. It's 8:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in late September, and the morning sun is hitting the glass tower in that particular way that usually makes me feel proud of how far I've come. The September air still has that late summer warmth, but there's a crispness to it that promises fall is coming. Brenda Simmons, our CEO, and the woman I've admired for the past 7 years, is walking toward the building at the same time. She's in her signature power suit, navy today, with her briefcase in one hand and her phone in the other. She glances up, sees me, and her expression shifts from professional neutrality to concern. Alicia, she says, slowing her pace. Why did you Uber in today? Before I can answer, before I can make up another excuse about car trouble or maintenance or any of the lies I've been telling myself for the past month, we both hear it. The distinctive purr of a BMW engine. My BMW. The pearl gray X5M with cream leather interior that came with my promotion to Senior Vice President of Acquisitions last spring. The car that has my name on the registration. The car that's supposed to be in my designated spot, Executive 7, right now. Brenda and I both turn at the same moment. And there it is. My car. Pulling out of my parking spot. With Jason behind the wheel. And Linda Wendell, his executive assistant, 26 years old, blonde, beautiful, in the passenger seat, throwing her head back laughing at something he just said. I feel the world tilt sideways. Brenda's voice cuts through the fog in my brain. Alicia. She's not asking anymore. Why is your husband driving your company vehicle? I open my mouth. Nothing comes out. Jason sees us. I watch it happen in slow motion, his eyes meet mine through the windshield, and there's this split second where I see something flicker across his face. Not guilt. Not shame. Something worse. Annoyance. Like I'm inconveniencing him by existing in this parking lot at this moment. He doesn't stop. Doesn't roll down the window. Just gives a casual wave, the kind you'd give an acquaintance you're not particularly interested in talking to, and drives right past us, out of the parking lot, onto Michigan Avenue, heading north toward the Magnificent Mile. Linda doesn't even look our way. She's too busy adjusting the passenger seat. My seat. The one I adjusted perfectly for my height. She's moving it back, making herself comfortable, like she belongs there. The silence in the parking lot is deafening. Alicia. Brenda's voice is carefully controlled now, the way it gets when she's managing a crisis. My office. 20 minutes. Don't go to your desk. Don't talk to anyone. Come straight to the executive floor. She doesn't wait for my response. Just turns on her heel and walks into the building, her spine rigid, her phone already at her ear. I stand there alone in the parking lot, watching the tail lights of my own car disappear into Chicago traffic. And the thing that makes my stomach twist and my hands shake as I walk into that building, is that this isn't the first time. This is just the first time someone with power actually witnessed it. As I ride the elevator to the executive floor, I can feel everything starting to crack open. All the explanations I've been making to myself for the past 6 weeks, all the justifications, all the ways I've convinced myself this is normal, this is fine, this is just marriage. Jason started borrowing my car about a month and a half ago. It started small, like everything with Jason always starts small. Babe, my Tesla's getting serviced today. Mind if I take yours to my lunch meeting? Alicia, I've got that presentation downtown and parking's going to be a nightmare. I'll just take the BMW. You can work from home today, right? My clients are expecting a certain level of presentation. You understand. And every time, I said yes. Because we're married. Because what's mine is his, right? Because Jason has always been so good at making me feel like I'm being difficult when I want to say no. Except the car isn't mine. It's company property. It's assigned to me as part of my compensation package as SVP of Acquisitions. My name is on the registration, yes, but Morrison & White owns it. I'm responsible for it. And Jason knows this. Jason, the chief financial officer of the same company, who sits on the executive board, who reviews these compensation packages, knows exactly what he's doing. The elevator dings. 52nd floor. Executive row. Brenda's assistant, Frank Masters, looks up as I approach. His expression is carefully neutral, but I can see the tension around his eyes. She's waiting for you. Go right in. I take a breath. Open the door. Brenda is standing at her floor-to-ceiling window, looking out over Lake Michigan. The water is that particular shade of deep blue it gets in September, whitecaps visible even from this height. She doesn't turn around when I enter. Close the door, Alicia. I do. Sit down. I sit in one of the leather chairs facing her massive desk. My hands are shaking, so I clasp them together in my lap. Brenda finally turns around. Her expression is unlike anything I've seen from her before, not angry, exactly, but something harder. Something final. I'm going to ask you a question, she says quietly. And I need you to tell me the truth. Not what you think I want to hear. Not what protects Jason. The truth. I nod, my throat too tight to speak. How long has your husband been using your company vehicle without authorization? And just like that, everything I've been holding together for 6 weeks, 6 years, if I'm being honest, starts to fall completely apart. The question sits between us like a live wire. How long has Jason been using my company vehicle without authorization? I stare at Brenda's desk, the polished mahogany surface that probably costs more than most people's cars, and try to figure out where to even start. 6 weeks, I hear myself say. My voice sounds strange, distant. Maybe 7. Brenda sits down slowly in her chair. And you authorized this? He's my husband, I say automatically, and even as the words leave my mouth, I know how weak they sound. That's not what I asked. I look down at my hands. No. I didn't authorize it. He just started taking it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here, to this office, to this moment, to the point where my own husband could casually steal my company car and I'd spend 6 weeks making excuses for him. I met Jason Blanc 5 years ago at a Morrison & White corporate retreat in Colorado. It was October, the aspens turning gold against the Rocky Mountains, one of those perfect fall weekends designed to build executive team cohesion. I was 31, newly promoted to Vice President of Market Analysis, and absolutely terrified of screwing it up. Jason was 35, the golden boy CFO who'd been with the company for 8 years, and he had this way of commanding a room that made everyone lean in when he spoke. He noticed me at the welcome dinner. I was standing alone at the bar, nursing a gin and tonic, trying to look confident while internally panicking about the presentation I had to give the next morning. Alicia Green, right? His voice was warm, confident. I'd been reading your reports on the Midwest market acquisitions. Brilliant work. I remember feeling this rush of validation. The CFO knew my work. The CFO thought I was brilliant. We talked for 2 hours that night. He was charming, funny, self-deprecating in a way that felt genuine. He told me about growing up in Boston, about his Harvard MBA, about his vision for Morrison & White's future. He asked about my background, state school in Ohio, worked my way up from junior analyst, first person in my family to work in finance. That's what this company needs, he said, and the way he looked at me made me feel seen. People who earned it. Not just trust fund kids coasting on their parents' connections. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. 3 months later, we were dating. 6 months after that, he proposed at the top of the Willis Tower during a winter storm, the city lights blurred by snow. We got married at the Chicago Botanical Gardens on a perfect June afternoon, and I remember thinking I'd won the lottery. I had the career I'd worked so hard for, and I had this incredible man who understood that world, who supported my ambitions, who made me feel like I could have it all. What I didn't see, what I wouldn't let myself see for years, were the small moments that should have been warnings. The first time Jason corrected me in public was at a client dinner about 3 months into our marriage. We were at Gibson's Steakhouse on Rush Street, one of those old-school Chicago power restaurants where deals get made over martinis and prime rib. I was explaining a risk assessment strategy to one of our major investors, and Jason interrupted me mid-sentence. "What Alicia means," he said smoothly, "is that we've developed a more conservative approach to minimize exposure." That wasn't what I meant. I'd been describing a calculated risk strategy that would yield higher returns. But everyone at the table nodded along with Jason's version, and when I tried to clarify later, he squeezed my hand under the table, hard enough to hurt, and changed the subject. In the car afterward, I brought it up. "Why did you cut me off like that?" "I was helping you," he said, not even looking away from Lakeshore Drive as he drove our Mercedes, his car then, before the BMW. "You were getting too technical. You were losing them. I was translating for you." "I didn't need translating. Alicia." His tone shifted, that particular edge that I was learning to recognize. "I'm trying to help your career. You're brilliant with numbers, but you don't always read the room. That's not a criticism. It's just a fact. I'm trying to help you navigate the politics." And because I was new to the executive level, because Jason had been there longer, because I wanted to believe he had my best interests at heart, I accepted it. I told myself he was right. That I did sometimes get too technical. That I should be grateful to have a husband who understood the corporate game. The second warning came when I was up for Senior Vice President of Acquisitions. It was a huge promotion, corner office, seat at the executive table, significant raise, the BMW. I'd worked toward it for 3 years. The night before my final interview with the board, Jason sat me down at our kitchen table in our Lincoln Park townhouse, the one his parents helped us buy, a detail that would become important later. "I need to tell you something," he said. "And I need you to not overreact." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I've been talking to some of the board members. Advocating for you. But there's concern." "About what?" "About whether you're ready for the pressure. Whether you can handle the spotlight without it affecting your judgment." He reached across the table, took my hand. "I defended you, obviously. But Alicia, you need to be aware that some people see you as intense. Maybe too ambitious." "Too ambitious?" I could feel anger rising in my chest. "For a promotion I've earned?" "I'm on your side," Jason said, and his voice was so gentle, so concerned. "I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. Maybe during the interview, try to be more approachable. Less aggressive. Show them you're a team player." I spent the entire interview second-guessing every word out of my mouth. Smiling more. Softening my language. Being careful not to seem too ambitious. I got the promotion. And Jason took credit for it. "I really went to bat for you," he told me that night over the celebration dinner he'd planned at Alicia, the 3 Michelin star restaurant where reservations take months. "It wasn't easy, but I convinced them you were ready." I should have questioned it then. Should have wondered why my own husband was planting seeds of doubt about my capabilities with the board. Should have recognized the pattern, undermine me, then rescue me, then make me grateful for the rescue. But I didn't. Because by that point, I'd learned to trust Jason's version of reality more than my own. "Alicia." Brenda's voice pulls me back to the present. I'm still sitting in her office, still trying to explain why I let my husband steal my company car for 6 weeks. "Where did you just go?" she asks. I was thinking about how it started, I say quietly. Not the car. Everything. How I got to the point where I couldn't even recognize what was happening to me. Brenda leans forward slightly. And what was happening to you? The words stick in my throat. Because saying them out loud makes them real. Makes me have to face what I've been avoiding for 5 years. He's been erasing me, I finally say. Piece by piece. And I let him. It started on a Monday morning in mid-August. One of those humid Chicago mornings where the air feels thick even at 7 a.m. Jason and I were having breakfast in our townhouse. One of those silent breakfasts where we both scrolled through our phones instead of talking to each other. That should have been a sign too, but I'd stopped noticing how quiet our marriage had become. My Tesla's making a weird noise, Jason said without looking up from his phone. His black Model S was his pride and joy. He'd special ordered it with every upgrade available. Gonna drop it at the dealer this morning. Mind if I take yours today? I looked up from my email. The BMW? That's company property, Jason. You know that. He finally met my eyes. That look. The one that made my stomach tighten even before he spoke. Are you seriously going to make this difficult? It's one day, Alicia. I have 3 client meetings downtown. You can work from home. I have the acquisition meeting with the Westfield Group at 10. I need to be in the office. Take an Uber. Jason. Jesus Christ. He stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the hardwood. It's a car. We're married. What's yours is mine, what's mine is yours. Or does that only count when it benefits you? There it was. The twist. The way he could make me feel selfish for having boundaries. Fine, I heard myself say. Just today. He kissed my forehead on his way out. Thanks, babe. You're the best. 1 day turned into 3. 3 days turned into a week. Every morning, he'd have a reason why he needed it more than I did. His clients expected a certain image. His meetings were more important. His schedule was tighter. And every morning, I'd order an Uber and tell myself it was temporary. 2 weeks in, I started finding things in the car. A woman's earring in the cup holder, delicate, gold, definitely not mine. Receipts from restaurants I'd never been to, expensive places in the West Loop, dinners for 2 at Girl and the Goat and RPM steak that cost more than our monthly grocery bill. I confronted him about the earring. That's probably from when I gave Linda a ride to the train station, he said easily, not even looking up from the sports section of the Tribune. Her car was in the shop last month, remember? Must have fallen out then. A month ago? Alicia, what are you implying? His voice went cold. You think I'm cheating on you because of an earring? That's pretty paranoid. I'm not saying. No, clearly you are. You know what? Maybe if you spent less time obsessing over every little thing and more time working on our marriage, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I apologized. Can you believe that? I found evidence of another woman in my own car, and I apologized for bringing it up. By week 3, people at work started noticing. My assistant, Mindy Masters, asked if everything was okay when I rushed in 15 minutes late to a board meeting, flustered and apologizing, my hair still damp from rushing through my morning routine. I'm fine, I said automatically. Just car trouble. But Mindy's expression said she didn't believe me. And why would she? I'd been the first person in the office every morning for 3 years. Now I was showing up in Ubers, sometimes late, always frazzled, smelling like someone else's vanilla air freshener instead of my own perfume. My colleague Francia Simmons caught me in the break room that same week. Francia and I had started around the same time. She's VP of Client Relations, sharp as they come, no relation to Brenda despite the shared last name, which was always a source of confusion at company events. Hey, I saw Jason leaving this morning in your BMW, she said, pouring coffee. Everything cool with your car situation? He's borrowing it temporarily, I said, my hands shaking as I added cream. His Tesla's in the shop. Francia raised an eyebrow. For 3 weeks? It's complicated. She lowered her voice. Alicia, that's company property. If something happened, if he got in an accident or got a ticket, you'd be liable. You know that, right? I know. I did know. I'd been keeping myself awake at night thinking about exactly that. It's just a few more days. But it wasn't. It kept going. 4 weeks in, I finally put my foot down. Or tried to. Jason, I need the car back, I said one evening. We were in the living room of our townhouse on Burling Street, him watching ESPN, me pretending to read a book on acquisition strategy. Rain was hammering against the windows, one of those late August storms that turn Chicago streets into rivers. You're being dramatic. I'm being responsible. What if you get in an accident? What if? What if, what if, what if? He muted the TV and turned to face me, and I saw that expression I'd learned to dread. You know what your problem is, Alicia? You can't let go of control for 5 minutes. Everything has to be exactly how you want it. Do you know how exhausting that is? This isn't about control. It's about policy. It's about you not trusting me. That's what this is really about. You don't trust your own husband. My throat felt tight. That's not fair. Isn't it? You're acting like I'm some stranger who's going to trash your precious car. We're married. We share everything. Or we're supposed to. But apparently, you have different rules. He stood up, grabbed his keys, my car keys, from the bowl on the entry table. I'm going out. Jason, wait. I need some air. Away from your constant accusations and paranoia. The door slammed behind him. Through the window, I watched him get into my BMW and drive away, taillights disappearing down our tree-lined street. I sat there on our expensive couch, in our expensive townhouse that his parents helped us buy, and cried. Because somehow, in asking for my own property back, I'd become the villain. Week 5 was when I started seeing them together more often. Jason and Linda. Always with some professional excuse, she was his executive assistant, after all. They worked closely together. It made sense that she'd be in his office, at his meetings, riding along in the company car that used to be mine. Except the way she laughed at his jokes didn't feel professional. The way she touched his arm when they talked in the hallway outside the executive conference room didn't feel professional. The way she'd started dressing, designer clothes that definitely cost more than an executive assistant's salary, Louboutin heels I'd seen in the Bloomingdale's window on Michigan Avenue, didn't feel professional. I mentioned it to Jason once. Just once. Linda got a promotion last month, he said dismissively, scrolling through his tablet while we ate takeout Thai food in our kitchen. She's doing well. Are you seriously threatened by my assistant? That's beneath you, Alicia. I'm not threatened. I just think. You just think what? That I'm sleeping with her? Jesus. You really need to talk to someone about these jealousy issues. So I stopped mentioning it. Added it to the list of things I wasn't allowed to notice, wasn't allowed to question, wasn't allowed to feel. Which brings us to this morning. 6 weeks of Ubers. 6 weeks of excuses. 6 weeks of watching Jason drive away in my company car with his assistant in the passenger seat, both of them acting like this was perfectly normal. The September morning had that crisp quality that made me nostalgic for college, back when my biggest worry was passing my finance exams, not whether my husband was destroying my career and having an affair. But this morning, Brenda Simmons saw it. This morning, someone with power finally witnessed what I'd been too afraid to name. 6 weeks, Brenda says now, and her voice is carefully controlled. 6 weeks of unauthorized use of company property, and you didn't report it. He's my husband, I say again, but the excuse sounds even weaker now. He's also our CFO, Brenda says. He sits on the executive board. He reviews compensation packages. He knows exactly what company vehicles are and how they're assigned. So I'm going to ask you again, Alicia, why didn't you report this? I look at her directly for the first time since sitting down. Because every time I tried to get the car back, he made me feel crazy for wanting it. Because he convinced me I was being materialistic and controlling. Because I've spent 5 years learning that pushing back on Jason costs more than giving in. Brenda is quiet for a long moment. Then she picks up her phone and presses a button. Frank, I need you to get Clive Morrison on the phone. Tell him it's urgent. She looks at me. And I need you to get our general counsel, Patricia Wendell. Tell her we have a situation involving unauthorized use of company assets and potential conflict of interest in the executive suite. My heart starts racing. Brenda, what are you? What I'm doing, she says firmly, is my job. Jason Blanc has been using his position and your relationship to misappropriate company property. That ends today. Frank leads me to the executive conference room on the 52nd floor, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Michigan Avenue and Lake Michigan beyond. The one where board meetings happen. The one where careers are made or destroyed. From this height, the city looks like a model, the morning traffic on Lake Shore Drive resembling toy cars. Brenda is already there, standing at the head of the long mahogany table. Next to her is Clive Morrison, co-founder of Morrison & White, a man in his early 60s with silver hair and the kind of presence that makes junior employees nervous just walking past his office. And sitting across from them is Patricia Wendell, head of our general counsel's office. Mid-40s, sharp-eyed, wearing a charcoal suit that says she means business. The kind of lawyer who doesn't miss anything. Sit down, Alicia, Clive says, his voice gentler than I expected. I sit. My hands are shaking so badly I have to clasp them in my lap. Patricia opens a leather portfolio and clicks her pen. Mrs. Blanc, we need to establish a timeline. The vehicle in question, the BMW X5 assigned to you as part of your SVP compensation package, when did your husband first begin using it? 6 weeks ago. Mid-August. And did you give him permission? I hesitate. This is the moment. I could protect Jason. I could say yes, that I authorized it, that it was a mutual decision between spouses. I could take the fall and maybe this all goes away quietly. But then I think about this morning. Jason driving away with Linda. That casual wave. The annoyance on his face when he saw me. No, I say clearly. I didn't give permission. He told me his Tesla was in the shop and he needed my car for the day. When I said it was company property, he made me feel like I was being difficult. Like I was a bad wife for not helping him. Patricia writes something down. And after that first day? He just kept taking it. Every morning, he'd have a reason why he needed it more than I did. His meetings were more important. His clients expected a certain image. I kept asking when I'd get it back, and he kept making me feel guilty for asking. Did you report this to anyone? Clive asks. No. Why not? The question hangs in the air. I take a breath. Because Jason has spent 5 years teaching me that my concerns don't matter. That I'm too sensitive, too paranoid, too controlling. Because every time I've tried to set a boundary with him, he's made me the problem. And because... My voice cracks slightly. Because I was afraid of what would happen if I challenged him publicly. Brenda's expression softens just slightly. Afraid how? Before I can answer, the conference room door opens. Jason walks in. He's still in the suit he was wearing this morning, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, the Hermes tie I bought him for his birthday last year. His hair is perfect. His smile is perfect. Everything about Jason Blanc is always perfect. Brenda, Clive, he says smoothly, nodding to each of them. Then his eyes land on me, and something flickers across his face. Alicia. What's going on? Sit down, Jason, Clive says. His voice has lost its gentleness. Jason sits, but his posture is relaxed, confident. Like this is just another executive meeting. Like he has nothing to worry about. We need to discuss the BMW X5 assigned to your wife, Patricia says without preamble. The BMW? Jason's eyebrows raised slightly. What about it? You've been driving it for the past 6 weeks. Well, yes. He glances at me, then back to Patricia. My Tesla's been having issues. Alicia and I agreed I could borrow hers until mine was fixed. Is there a problem? There it is. The casual lie. Delivered so smoothly you'd almost believe it. That's not what your wife told us, Brenda says. Jason's eyes cut to me, and I see it, that flash of anger he usually saves for when we're alone. Alicia, what did you tell them? The truth, I hear myself say, and my voice is steadier than I feel. That you took the car without my permission. That I've been asking for it back for 6 weeks. That you made me feel crazy every time I brought it up. That's not. Jason stops himself, recalibrates. His expression shifts to concerned, confused. Honey, we talked about this. You said it was fine. You said I could use it until my car was ready. I said you could use it for 1 day. You took it for 6 weeks. You're making this into something it's not. His voice takes on that edge, the one I know so well. We're married. What's yours is mine. I didn't think I needed written permission to borrow my wife's car. It's not my car, I say, and something inside me is breaking open now, all the words I've been swallowing for 5 years starting to pour out. It's company property. It's assigned to me. I'm liable for it. You know that, Jason. You're the CFO. You review these compensation packages. You know exactly what you've been doing. Jason's jaw tightens. Alicia, I think you're letting stress get to you again. Maybe we should discuss this at home, privately, instead of. No, I interrupt him. For the first time in 5 years, I interrupt him. We're discussing it here. Now. Because this morning, Brenda saw you driving my company car with Linda Wendell in the passenger seat. Both of you laughing. Both of you looking very comfortable. The room goes silent. Jason's expression doesn't change, but I see his knuckles go white where he's gripping the armrest. Linda is my executive assistant. I gave her a ride to a client meeting. There's nothing inappropriate about that. What client meeting? Patricia asks, her pen poised. I don't see how that's relevant. What? Client. Meeting. Jason shifts in his chair. I don't have my calendar in front of me. That's fine, Patricia says. We can pull it. We can also pull the GPS data from the vehicle. Company cars have trackers, as I'm sure you're aware, given that you approved the tracking system budget 2 years ago. I watched the color drain slightly from Jason's face. We can see everywhere that car has been for the past 6 weeks, Patricia continues. Every restaurant. Every hotel. Every location that isn't a Morrison & White office or a verified client site. Would you like us to do that, Mr. Blanc? For a long moment, Jason says nothing. I can see him calculating, trying to figure out his next move. Then he stands up abruptly. I don't appreciate the insinuation. Alicia and I have a marriage, and we make decisions together about our assets. If there's been some miscommunication, that's between us. This is a private matter. It stopped being private when it involved company property, Clive says, and his voice has gone cold. Sit down, Jason. I'd like to speak to my wife alone. That's not happening, Brenda says. Jason looks at me directly now, and the mask is slipping. I can see the anger beneath the polished surface. Alicia, tell them this is a misunderstanding. Tell them you authorized this. Don't make this into something that damages both our careers. And there it is. The threat. The reminder that if he goes down, he'll take me with him. 5 years ago, that would have worked. 5 years ago, I would have backed down, changed my story, protected him at my own expense. But something broke open this morning in that parking lot. Something that's been building for 6 weeks, for 5 years. For every moment I made myself smaller so Jason could stay comfortable. No, I say quietly. I'm not going to lie for you anymore. Jason's face goes red. You're making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was staying silent this long. He turns to Clive, to Brenda, desperation starting to show through. She's not thinking clearly. The stress of her position has been affecting her judgment. I've been concerned about her mental state for months now. This is exactly what I was worried about. Stop, Brenda says, and her voice cuts like a knife. Mr. Blanc, you're suspended from your position effective immediately. You need to leave this building. You'll be contacted by HR and legal about next steps. You can't be serious. I'm the CFO of this company. I've been here for 13 years. And you used your position and your marriage to misappropriate company assets, Clive says, standing up. You manipulated your wife, you violated policy, and right now, we're trying to determine if there's more we need to investigate. Security will escort you out. As if on cue, the conference room door opens. 2 security guards stand in the doorway. Jason looks at me one more time. His perfect composure is finally shattered, replaced by something ugly and raw. You'll regret this, Alicia. I promise you that. Then he's gone, walking out between the 2 guards, his perfect posture slightly slumped, and I can hear the whispers starting already as they escort him through the executive floor toward the elevators. And I sit there in that conference room, shaking, watching my marriage and my carefully constructed life collapse around me, and feeling, for the first time in 5 years, like I can actually breathe. The conference room feels different after Jason leaves. Quieter. Like the air pressure changed. Through the windows, I can see clouds rolling in off the lake, more rain coming, typical September weather. Brenda sits down across from me. Patricia's pen is still poised over her legal pad. Clive remains standing by the window, looking out over the city. Alicia, Brenda says gently. I need you to tell us everything. Not just about the car. Everything. My hands are still shaking. How far back? As far back as it goes. I take a breath. And then I start talking. It started small, I say. So small I didn't recognize it as a pattern until recently. About 3 years ago, I noticed my performance reviews weren't reflecting my actual work. I'd close major deals, bring in significant revenue, but my ratings would come back as meets expectations instead of exceeds. Who conducted those reviews? Patricia asks. You and Brenda, primarily, Clive. But Jason sits on the compensation committee. He has input on all executive reviews. Clive turns from the window. What are you saying, Alicia? I'm saying Jason has been influencing my reviews for years. Downgrading my performance. Making me seem less competent than I am. That's a serious accusation, Clive says, but his voice isn't skeptical. It's careful. I know. And I couldn't prove it directly until recently. But 2 months ago, I had lunch with Brent Morrison from the Boston office, your nephew, Clive. He mentioned something in passing, said he'd heard from Jason that I was struggling with the workload of the SVP position. That Jason was concerned about my stress levels. Brenda's expression darkens. Jason told Brent that? Apparently he's been telling a lot of people that. Planting seeds. Making it seem like I'm barely holding it together, like he's the concerned husband dealing with an unstable wife. Patricia writes something down. Why would he do that? Control, I say simply. If everyone thinks I'm fragile, they won't question when Jason speaks for me, decides for me, manages me. And I won't question it either, because I'll think he's helping. There's more, I continue, and now that I've started, I can't seem to stop. Last year, I was approached by Goldman Sachs. They wanted to recruit me for a managing director position in their Chicago office. It was an incredible opportunity, more money, more autonomy, a chance to build my own team. I remember that, Brenda says slowly. You turned it down. I turned it down because Jason convinced me to. He said it would be selfish to leave Morrison and White after everything the company had invested in me. He said it would make me look disloyal, ungrateful. He said he was thinking about my reputation. But that's not the whole story, Patricia prompts. No. What I found out later, just last month, actually, is that Jason called the Goldman recruiter. Told them I was dealing with personal issues that were affecting my judgment. That I was unreliable. That they should look elsewhere. The room goes silent. How did you find out? Clive asks, his voice tight. The recruiter, Alan Simmons, reached out to me again this year. Different position. When I expressed interest, he was honest with me. Said he'd been warned off last year by someone claiming to speak on my behalf. When I pressed for details, he told me it was my husband. Brenda's voice is tight when she speaks. Jason cost you a job opportunity by lying to another firm about your mental state. Yes. That's tortious interference, Patricia says, writing furiously. That's legally actionable. There's also the money, I say, and this part makes me feel sick to admit. 3 years ago, Jason suggested we combine our finances completely. Said it made sense for a married couple. I agreed. But what I didn't realize was that he'd restructured everything to give himself primary control. Explain, Patricia says. Our joint accounts? He's the primary account holder on all of them. I'm secondary. He set up automatic transfers from my paycheck to accounts I can't access without his approval. When I tried to open a separate savings account last year, just for my own security, he noticed within a week. Asked me why I needed separate money. Asked if I was planning to leave him. What happened? Brenda asks. I closed the account. Because he made me feel like having my own money was a betrayal. Clive is pacing now, his hands behind his back. Alicia, what you're describing is financial abuse. I know, I whisper. I know that now. He isolated me too, I continue. Not dramatically. Not in some obvious way. But gradually. My friend Francia, we used to have lunch every week. Jason started scheduling conflicts on those days. Client dinners he insisted I attend with him. Emergency meetings he said I needed to be prepared for. After 6 months, Francia stopped asking. What about your family? Brenda asks. My parents live in Ohio. Jason always has a reason why we can't visit. The holidays are too busy at work. Summer is too expensive to travel. My sister's wedding last year? Jason booked a golf trip to Scotland for that same weekend, St. Andrews. He'd been wanting to play there for years. Didn't tell me until after he'd paid the non-refundable deposit. Did you go to the wedding? Patricia asks. No. I went to Scotland. Because Jason said canceling would waste thousands of dollars, and wasn't I being selfish putting my sister's wedding above our financial security? Never mind that we could afford it. Never mind that it was my sister's wedding. He made it seem like I was the unreasonable one. The words sound insane now, saying them out loud. But in the moment, Jason had made it all seem reasonable. He always made it seem reasonable. And then there's the way he talks about me at work, I say. I didn't realize how much damage he was doing until Francia finally told me last week. She said people in the executive suite think of me as Jason's wife more than as an actual executive. That he tells stories at board meetings about my mistakes, frames them as amusing anecdotes about his brilliant but scattered wife. What kind of stories? Clive asks, his voice dangerous. Like the time I supposedly forgot about a client dinner and Jason had to cover for me. Except I didn't forget, Jason told me the wrong date. Or the time I supposedly mixed up 2 major acquisitions in a presentation. But I didn't mix them up. Jason edited my slide deck the night before without telling me and introduced errors. Brenda's hands are flat on the table. He's been setting you up to fail. While positioning himself as my savior, I finish. The supportive husband managing his high-achieving but slightly incompetent wife. Patricia looks up from her notes. And Linda Wendell. His assistant. Tell me about her. My stomach turns. I don't have proof of an affair. But I have suspicions. The earring in my car. The restaurant receipts for two. The way she dresses now, expensive clothes, designer bags. Celine, Prada, brands that cost more than her salary. The way they look at each other. When did you first notice this? 3 months ago. Right around when Jason started talking about how maybe I should consider stepping back from work. How the stress was affecting me. How maybe we should start thinking about having kids, and wouldn't it be better if I took some time off to focus on that? He wanted you to quit, Brenda says. He wanted me dependent. If I quit, I lose my salary, my benefits, my car, my office, my identity outside of being his wife. I'd have nothing that was mine. Clive sits down heavily. How long have you known this, Alicia? How long have you understood what he was doing? Consciously? Maybe a few months. But I'd been feeling it for years. Feeling like I was disappearing. Like I couldn't trust my own judgment. Like I was going crazy. That's what gaslighting does, Patricia says quietly. It makes you doubt your own reality. Brenda leans forward. Alicia, I have to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Has Jason ever physically harmed you? No, I say immediately. Never. But he doesn't have to. The way he looks at me when he's angry is enough. The way his voice changes. The way he can make a room feel dangerous without ever raising his hand. Psychological abuse is still abuse, Patricia says, writing. I know. My voice breaks. I know that. But it took me 5 years to see it. 5 years of making excuses for him, of telling myself I was too sensitive, of believing his version of reality over my own. And the worst part? I'm a senior vice president of a major financial firm. I'm supposed to be smart. I'm supposed to be capable. How did I let this happen to me? Brenda reaches across the table and takes my hand. Because you're human. Because you loved him. Because he's very, very good at what he does. I'm crying now, silent tears running down my face, probably ruining my makeup. I've lost 5 years of my life to him. No, Clive says firmly. You've survived 5 years. And now we're going to make sure he faces consequences for what he's done. Patricia closes her legal pad and looks at me directly. Alicia, here's what's going to happen. We're opening a formal investigation, both the car and the career interference. This will involve HR, legal, and an outside investigator for impartiality. An outside investigator? Jason is C-suite, Clive explains. We need someone independent. Brenda walks to the window, rain streaking the glass. This is going to get ugly. Jason will fight. His lawyer will come after everyone. Are you prepared? I think about Jason's face when security escorted him out. I can't go back to how things were. You won't have to, Patricia says. First, we're retrieving your car today. If he doesn't return the keys within 2 hours, we report it as stolen. Second, document everything. Every text, email, voicemail from Jason. Don't delete anything. Don't respond. Just save it all. Third, Brenda adds, you're taking the rest of the day off. Don't stay in this building. Do you have somewhere safe? I think about our townhouse. I can't go home. Friends? Family? My friend Francia. Francia Simmons in Wicker Park. Call her. Tell her you need a place to stay. Don't give details yet, active investigation. Frank escorts me to a small conference room on the 51st floor. I pull out my phone. 17 missed calls from Jason. 3 texts. Call me now. Don't do this, Alicia. Think about what you're throwing away. Fine. If this is how you want to play it, don't expect me to go easy on you. I call Francia. She answers on the second ring. Hey, stranger. Francia. My voice cracks. I need help. Her tone changes instantly. What happened? I can't explain right now. But I need somewhere to stay tonight. Maybe longer. Can I stay with you? Of course. Absolutely. Do you need me to come get you? No, I'll Uber. I can't go home. This is about Jason, isn't it? I can't talk about it yet. But yes. Say no more. I'm here. Whatever you need. An hour later, Patricia texts, car retrieved from 900N Michigan Underground lot. In your spot now. Keys at security. GPS records pulled. You'll want to see this tomorrow. That second text makes my stomach drop. What did they find? My phone rings. Unknown number. Mrs. Blanc? Detective Alvin Green, Chicago PD Financial Crimes Division. I understand there's been unauthorized use of company property at Morrison and White. I'm working with your legal team. I need to ask you questions. The police? My voice comes out as a whisper. Why are the police involved? When a company executive misappropriates assets valued over $50,000, it crosses into criminal territory. Your vehicle is valued at $72,000. 6 weeks unauthorized use, combined with preliminary expense fraud evidence, makes this criminal. Your husband could face charges. I sit down heavily. Criminal charges? That's what we're determining. Can you come to the station tomorrow? 9 a.m.? Bring documentation, texts, emails, anything relevant. Yes. Okay. And Mrs. Blanc? If your husband contacts you, don't engage. Document and report immediately. For your safety. My phone buzzes constantly now. More texts from Jason. The police? Really, Alicia? You're destroying everything we built over a misunderstanding? I gave you everything. I supported your career. And this is how you repay me? I'm coming home tonight. We're going to discuss this like adults. That last message makes my blood run cold. He's coming home where he assumes I'll be. I text Francia, can you help me get things from my house? Before Jason gets there. Her response, on my way. Be there in 20. Francia pulls up in her Honda 20 minutes later. We drive to the townhouse on Burling Street through the rain. Jason's Tesla isn't there yet. We have maybe an hour. How much do you need? Francia asks. Everything important. Clothes, documents, laptop. My hands shake unlocking the door. The house smells like Jason's cologne, Tom Ford wood. Everything looks exactly as I left it this morning. Our life together, now feeling like a crime scene. Bedroom first, Francia says. Clothes for a week. Then documents, passport, birth certificate, financial records. We work quickly. Francia fills a suitcase while I go through desk drawers. Passport, social security card, bank statements. My career folder with performance reviews and contracts. In the back drawer, I find a flash drive. I remember now, 2 years ago, I'd started backing up things. Emails that seemed off. Performance reviews that didn't match my work. I pocket it. Alicia. Francia calls from upstairs. We need to go. Jason's Tesla just turned onto Burling. My heart stops. How far? 2 houses down. We grab everything, out the back door, through the side gate, into Francia's car parked strategically down the street. Just as I hear Jason's Tesla pull into the driveway. Francia drives away quickly but not suspiciously. In the mirror, I see Jason get out, looking at the house. Looking for my car that isn't there. That was close, Francia says. My phone buzzes. Jason calling. I decline. Text, your car is back but you're not here. Where are you? We need to talk. Another, Don't make this harder than it has to be. Come home. We can fix this. I turn my phone to silent and lean back against the seat. You okay? Francia asks. No, I say honestly. But I will be. Francia's apartment in Wicker Park is small but comfortable. Exposed brick, hardwood floors, plants on every surface, succulents and ferns and a fiddle-leaf fig in the corner. The complete opposite of the sterile perfection Jason insisted on in our townhouse. Wine? Francia asks, already pouring 2 glasses. God, yes. We sit on her couch, and for the first time all day, I feel like I can actually breathe. My phone is still buzzing periodically, Jason calling, texting, leaving voicemails, but I ignore it all. So, Francia says gently. What happened? I tell her everything. The car, the confrontation with Brenda, Jason being escorted out by security, the police involvement. Francia listens without interrupting, her expression shifting from shock to anger. I knew something was wrong, she says when I finish. I've known for months. The way you changed, you got quieter, started apologizing for everything, stopped taking up space. Jason said I was maturing. Becoming more professional. Jason was breaking you down. Francia's voice is fierce. She refills our glasses. There's something else you should know. About Jason and Linda. My stomach tightens. What? 2 weeks ago, I was working late. Around 9 p.m. I went down to the parking garage to get my laptop, and I saw them. Jason and Linda. In your BMW. In the back seat. They weren't just talking, Alicia. The room spins slightly. I knew. Of course I knew. But hearing it confirmed makes it real. Did they see you? No. I left before they noticed. It was exactly what it looked like, I say flatly. Jason's been having an affair with his assistant. In my company car. The next morning, Detective Alvin Green calls me into his office at the Chicago Police Department Financial Crimes Division. The building smells like coffee and bureaucracy. He spreads documents across his desk, printed maps showing GPS tracking data from my BMW over 6 weeks. Mrs. Blanc, we pulled the GPS records from your vehicle, he says. You need to see this. The Langham Hotel. Multiple visits, usually midday, staying 2 to 3 hours. The Peninsula Hotel. Same pattern. A high-rise apartment building in Streeterville. 7 separate visits over 4 weeks, always evening. That apartment is a corporate rental leased by Morrison and White, Detective Green explains. For client entertainment. Jason had the keys. We cross-referenced these locations with his actual client meetings. Zero correlation. He pulls out another sheet. The hotel's billed to his corporate card. Categorized as client entertainment. Over $42,000 in 6 weeks. I stare at the number. $42,000 of company money. That's embezzlement. Combined with unauthorized vehicle use, falsified expense reports, Mrs. Blanc, your husband is looking at serious criminal charges. He slides another document across. These are large withdrawals from your joint accounts over the past 2 months. $65,000 in cash. Do you know what these are for? I have no idea. We traced some of it. Jason purchased a condo in Miami 6 months ago. Waterfront property in South Beach. Used cash for the down payment, $35,000. The property is in his name only, through a Delaware LLC. My hands go numb. He was planning to leave me. Or preparing for you to leave him. Either way, he was hiding marital assets. This is financial fraud, Mrs. Blanc. Systematic asset dissipation with intent to defraud you. After leaving the police station, I go directly to First Chicago Bank. The banker, Sophie White, pulls up my accounts. Mrs. Blanc, are you aware that your husband has been making significant withdrawals? Her expression is concerned as she scrolls through transactions. I just found out. Can you tell me the total? In the past 60 days, there have been cash withdrawals totaling $83,000. All made by Mr. Blanc. $83,000. My salary. My bonuses. My money, gone. Can I freeze the accounts? You'll need a court order since he's the primary account holder. But you can open a new account in your name only. I open a new account. Transfer what little is left, about $7,000. Change my direct deposit. It's not much. But it's mine. I'm walking out of the bank when my phone rings. Unknown number. Is this Alicia Blanc? A woman's voice, uncertain, young. Yes. Who is this? My name is Melody Green. I worked at Morrison & White about 3 years ago. I heard about what's happening with Jason, and I think I need to tell you something. He did the same thing to me. My heart starts racing. What do you mean? I was 24. Jason was overseeing my department. He was charming, helpful. Started mentoring me. Then it became more, expensive dinners, late nights working together. He told me I was special. That his marriage was basically over. That he was going to leave you for me. But he never left. No. When I started asking when we could be public, he changed. Got cold. Started criticizing my work, making my life miserable until I quit. I lean against a building, trying to process this. I ran into him a year later at a conference, Melody continues. He acted like he barely remembered me. And now I see he's doing it again with Linda. The same pattern: find young women, make them feel special, use them, destroy them when they become inconvenient. Why are you telling me this now? Because I want to help. If you need someone to testify about his pattern of behavior, I'll do it. He shouldn't get away with this again. After I hang up, I stand on that sidewalk, watching Chicago move around me, and I realize something. This was never about the car. It was never even about me. Jason has been doing this for years. Using his position, his charm, his power to control people. Women, specifically. I was just the latest in a long line. But I'm going to be the last. 3 days after Jason was suspended, everything hits at once. The letter from his lawyer arrives at Francia's apartment, thick, cream-colored, expensive. Clive Harrington, representing Jason Alexander Blanc. The language is dense and threatening. I allegedly orchestrated a false narrative, manipulated company leadership, I'm unstable and vindictive. Any further actions will be met with legal consequences for defamation. They're trying to scare you into silence, Francia says, reading over my shoulder. It's working. That evening, I make the mistake of checking Facebook. Jason's mother has posted. Heartbroken for my son, who dedicated 13 years to his career, only to have it destroyed by false accusations. Jason is one of the kindest men I know. He supported his wife's ambitions even when it meant sacrificing his own. And this is how he's repaid, with lies and manipulation. Praying for truth and justice. #family first. 243 likes. 78 comments painting me as the villain without saying my name. Jason's brother shares it, stand by my brother. The truth will come out. His sister posts our wedding photo, remember when vows meant something? Praying for my brother during this impossible situation. The comments are worse. People I've met at family gatherings, all certain I destroyed a good man. My phone won't stop buzzing. Unknown numbers sending texts. Everyone knows what you did. You won't be able to show your face. Home-wrecking bitch. Jason's too good for you. Hope destroying a good man's career was worth it. My mother calls. Alicia Marie Green. I just got off the phone with Jason. My stomach drops. What? He was crying. Said you've accused him of terrible things over a misunderstanding about a car. He said he just wants to fix your marriage, but you've gotten lawyers and police involved. Mom, he's been lying to you. He stole my car. He's been having an affair. He embezzled money. Those are very serious accusations. Do you have proof? Yes. The company has GPS records, expense reports, witness statements. But do you have proof? Or are you just listening to people who want to make a scandal? I can't breathe. You don't believe me. I believe marriage is hard. I believe you made vows. For better or worse. You don't throw that away because things get tough. Jason never hit you, did he? No, but... Then maybe abuse is too strong a word. Maybe you need counseling, not police investigations. She pauses. Think about your reputation, Alicia. Think about what people will say. She hangs up. A headhunter I worked with 2 years ago emails, heard concerning things about your situation. Your reputation is everything in this business. If you need advice on damage control, I know PR consultants. Damage control. Like I'm the problem. That night, alone in Francia's guest room, I pull out my laptop and start writing an email to Patricia. I want to drop the complaint. This isn't worth it. Jason can have everything. I just want this to stop. My finger hovers over send. I think about my mother, think about your reputation. I think about the social media army, 200 people painting me as the villain. I think about the harassment, the professional fallout, how my life has imploded. I think about how much easier it would be to just give up. I start typing reasons why I should quit. Nobody believes me. My own mother thinks I'm overreacting. Jason's lawyer will destroy me. The harassment will only get worse. Everyone thinks I'm the villain. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should have just. Then I stop. I think about Melody Green. The woman Jason destroyed 3 years ago who called me because she didn't want him to do it again. I think about Linda Wendell, thinking she's special, not knowing she's just the latest version of a pattern. I think about the next woman. The one who'll come after Linda. The one Jason will destroy if someone doesn't stop him. I think about every time I told myself it was fine, it was normal, it was just marriage. And I realize, if I give up now, I'm telling every future victim she should stay quiet too. I can't live with that. I delete the email. Write a different one. Patricia, I'm getting harassment, attaching screenshots. I want to move forward with everything. I'm not backing down. Please advise next steps. Alicia. I hit send before I can change my mind. If I give up now, he'll do this to someone else. And I refuse to let that happen. 1 week after Jason's suspension, I meet with Sally Morrison, the external investigator Morrison and White hired. Former federal prosecutor, now specializing in corporate investigations. Her office is in the Loop, neutral territory. She's in her 50s, gray hair cut short, no-nonsense navy suit. Everything about her says she's seen it all. Mrs. Blanc, she begins, opening a thick file. I've spent the past week reviewing everything. Financial records, GPS data, personnel files going back 8 years. I've interviewed 14 employees. What your husband did, it's significantly worse than anyone realized. She spreads documents across the table. Bank statements, transfer records, investment accounts. Jason has been systematically siphoning money from Morrison and White for at least 3 years. Fake vendor payments, inflated expense reports, consulting fees to shell companies he controls. We're looking at approximately $470,000 in fraudulent transactions. The number doesn't seem real. $500,000? Give or take. And that's just what we've found so far. She pulls out another document. This is an LLC registered in Delaware 2 years ago. JB Holdings. Jason's the registered agent. This company received over $200,000 in consulting fees from Morrison and White, all approved by Jason himself. He was paying himself through a fake company. Classic embezzlement. She slides another paper across. This is a joint investment account you share with Jason. Your paychecks deposit here. But look at the withdrawals, 20,000 here, 30,000 there, 50,000 last month. Where did it go? The Miami condo, hiding assets, preparing for divorce. He had sole access despite it being joint. You were listed as co-owner but never given login credentials. He set it up that way deliberately. This is financial fraud, identity theft, forging your authorization. There's something else, Sally says. After word got out, 3 more women came forward. Former employees who say Jason engaged in inappropriate relationships during their time here. My chest tightens. 3 more? Besides Melody Green? Yes. All in their 20s when they worked here. All in subordinate positions. All described the same pattern: excessive attention, promises of career advancement, then retaliation when they tried to end things. She pulls out statements. This is from Phoebe Chen, worked in finance 6 years ago. She says Jason pursued her relentlessly, promised promotions, took her to expensive restaurants. When she tried to end it, he tanked her performance reviews until she transferred to New York. She reported him? Yes. But the complaint was dismissed as a misunderstanding. The person who dismissed it was Jason. He was head of HR then. He was investigating complaints against himself. He buried at least 4 formal harassment complaints over 7 years. I feel sick. How did no one notice? Because Jason was good at covering his tracks. He had HR control for 3 years. He picked young, vulnerable women who wouldn't know how to fight back effectively. He planted seeds about their performance problems before they complained, making them look like unreliable employees. Sally closes the file. What started as vehicle misuse has become massive fraud. We're looking at embezzlement, sexual harassment, abuse of position, identity theft, witness intimidation, falsification of corporate records. Jason's entire career appears built on fraud and manipulation. Patrick Wendell, the forensic accountant, confirms it all when I meet with him later. Your husband is smart. Most executives who embezzle are sloppy. Jason was methodical. He shows me spreadsheets. Client entertainment expenses over 3 years, $392,000. But when I cross-referenced with actual documented client meetings, less than 30% had legitimate business purposes. The Langham, the Peninsula, the Streeterville apartment, all personal, all fraudulent. How did he get away with it? He approved his own expenses. As CFO, he had override authority. He built in his own backdoor when he set up the approval system. Patrick leans back. In 23 years of forensic accounting, I've rarely seen someone abuse their position this systematically while maintaining such a clean public image. Your husband is a master manipulator. Patricia from legal calls that evening. We're scheduling depositions next week. You, Jason, Linda, several witnesses. You need to be prepared. Prepared how? Jason's lawyer will come at you hard. He'll try to make you look vindictive, unstable, like you orchestrated this out of spite. He'll dig into every mistake you've made. But Alicia, we have evidence. Real, documented evidence. Jason can spin whatever story he wants, but he can't spin bank records or GPS data or 4 women telling identical stories. What do I need to do? Tell the truth. Simply, clearly, without embellishment. Don't get defensive. Don't get angry when he provokes you. Just state facts. The next day, I spend 4 hours with Patricia and Jennifer White doing practice depositions. They fire questions at me, sympathetic, hostile, preparing me for every angle. Mrs. Blanc, isn't it true you were jealous of your husband's success? No. I was successful in my own right. You've struggled with anxiety and depression? I've felt anxious because my husband was manipulating me. That's a normal response to abnormal circumstances. You used your relationship with CEO Brenda Simmons to orchestrate this investigation? No. I answered my boss's question honestly. The investigation found misconduct I didn't know about. They drill me for hours. By the end, I'm exhausted but ready. 2 days before depositions, Detective Green calls with the final piece. We traced the Miami condo. Jason purchased it 6 months ago with cash from your joint accounts. Waterfront, $850,000. In his name only, through an LLC to hide it from you. He was planning to leave me with nothing. Exactly. This isn't just embezzlement from the company. This is identity theft, using your name to fund his personal real estate. The state's attorney is building a strong criminal case. After I hang up, I realize, Jason had been planning this for months. Setting up escape routes. Making sure when everything fell apart, he'd be fine and I'd be destroyed. But he made one mistake. He got caught. And now all his careful planning is about to collapse. The depositions take place in a conference room at Harrington and Associates. Clive Harrington's office is exactly what you'd expect, mahogany everything, leather chairs that probably cost more than my monthly rent, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago River. The kind of place designed to intimidate. There's original art on the walls, abstract pieces that probably cost 6 figures, and the carpet is so thick it muffles footsteps. Jason is deposed first. I'm not allowed in the room, witnesses are separated to prevent coordination, but Patricia gives me updates during breaks, meeting me in a different conference room down the hall. He's good, she says during the lunch break, sipping coffee from a paper cup. Very composed. Very sympathetic. Playing the confused, wounded husband who doesn't understand why his marriage fell apart. He's crying at appropriate moments. He's talking about how much he loved you, how hard he tried to support your career, how blindsided he was by all this. Is it working? Not with Sally Morrison, she's seen this before, she's a former prosecutor who's dealt with white-collar criminals who are excellent liars. But Harrington's building a narrative for potential court proceedings, that you're unstable, that you orchestrated this investigation out of spite and vindictiveness, that Jason's the real victim here. When Jason finishes, 6 hours later, I watch him walk past the conference room where I'm waiting. He doesn't look at me. Just keeps walking, Harrington beside him, both of them looking confident, talking in low voices. That confidence won't last. My deposition starts at 9 a.m. the next day. Present in the room, Clive Harrington representing Jason, Patricia and Jennifer White from Morrison and White representing the company, Sally Morrison the investigator, a court reporter with her stenography machine clicking away, and me. The windows show another gray October morning, clouds heavy over the river. Harrington is in his 60s, silver hair perfectly styled, expensive suit that probably cost $5,000, the kind of lawyer who makes his living defending powerful men who've done bad things. He smiles at me as I sit down. It doesn't reach his eyes. Mrs. Blanc, thank you for being here today. I just have a few questions. The few questions last for 8 hours with breaks. Harrington starts soft. Background questions. How I met Jason. When we got married. What my career trajectory looked like. My education, my promotions, my relationships with colleagues. He's establishing rapport, making me comfortable, getting me to relax before he goes for the kill. Then he pivots. Mrs. Blanc, you've accused my client of serious misconduct. Embezzlement. Fraud. Sexual harassment. These are career-ending allegations. Life-destroying allegations. So I need to understand, what prompted you to make these accusations? I didn't make accusations. I reported facts. Jason took my company car without authorization for 6 weeks. That's documented. The investigation that followed found additional misconduct. I didn't uncover that, the company's investigation did. But you initiated everything by complaining about the car to your boss. I answered my boss's question honestly when she asked why I arrived in a taxi. After 6 weeks of allowing your husband to use the vehicle without complaint. After 6 weeks of him taking it despite my repeated objections, which he dismissed and made me feel guilty about. Harrington leans forward. Mrs. Blanc, isn't it true that you've been unhappy in your marriage for years? I've been manipulated in my marriage for years. There's a difference. Manipulated. That's a strong word. Can you give me specific examples with dates and witnesses? So I do. For the next 2 hours, I walk through everything. The performance reviews with dates. The Goldman Sachs sabotage with Alan Simmons's name as a witness. The financial control with bank records as proof. The social isolation with Francia Simmons as a witness. The gaslighting with specific incidents and dates. Every detail, every witness who can corroborate, every piece of documentation that proves I'm not making this up. Harrington takes notes, but his expression never changes. When I finish, he says, that's quite a list. Yet you stayed married to my client. You continued working at the same company. You maintained your household together. You attended social functions together. Why? Because that's what abuse victims do. They stay. Because their abuser has convinced them that leaving would be worse than staying. Because I'd been psychologically conditioned to doubt my own judgment. Abuse victim. Harrington's tone is skeptical. Mrs. Blanc, did my client ever physically harm you? No. Threaten you with physical violence? Not explicitly. Prevent you from leaving the house or contacting people? Not physically, no. So you were free to leave at any time. You had resources, education, a career. You chose to stay. I was psychologically trapped. That's how emotional and financial abuse works. It doesn't leave visible bruises. Harrington flips through his notes. Let's talk about your mental health. Have you ever been treated for anxiety or depression? Patricia interjects. That's not relevant to. It's absolutely relevant, Harrington says smoothly. Mrs. Blank's perception of events could be colored by mental health issues. I need to understand her state of mind and whether her judgment was impaired. Jennifer White speaks up. You can ask about her mental state during the relevant time period. Her medical history beyond that is protected under privacy laws. I take a breath. I felt anxious and depressed during my marriage because I was being systematically manipulated and financially abused. That's a normal response to abnormal circumstances. I never sought treatment because Jason convinced me that my feelings were the problem, not his behavior. That if I just tried harder, if I was less sensitive, if I stopped being so demanding, everything would be fine. Convenient, Harrington murmurs, writing something down. After lunch, things shift. Patricia introduces documents into the record. Bank statements. GPS data. The Shell Company records. Expense reports highlighted in yellow showing the fraud pattern. Witness statements from Melody Green and the other women. Harrington's confidence starts to crack. Mrs. Blanc, looking at these bank records from your joint Schwab investment account, do you recognize these withdrawals? No. I never authorized them and I didn't know they were happening. I didn't even know the account existed. But you were the co-owner of this account. In name only. Jason never gave me access credentials. I couldn't log in. I couldn't see transactions. He set it up that way deliberately so he could control all the money. Patricia slides a document across the table. For the record, this is Mrs. Blank's sworn testimony to Detective Green that she requested login credentials multiple times over the past 3 years and Mr. Blanc refused each time, claiming he would handle the finances because it was too stressful for her and she should focus on her career. Harrington shifts tactics. Let's discuss the car. You claim my client took it without authorization. But Mrs. Blanc, you're married. What's his is yours, what's yours is his. Isn't that how marriage works? Not when it comes to company property. The BMW was assigned to me specifically as part of my compensation package. I'm legally liable for it. Jason knew that, he's the CFO, he reviews and approves these policies personally. But you allowed him to use it initially. For one day, because he said his Tesla was in the shop for repairs. Then he just kept taking it and making me feel guilty and unreasonable every time I asked for it back. Sally Morrison speaks up. Mr. Harrington, we have GPS data showing the vehicle was used to visit the Langham Hotel, the Peninsula Hotel, and a corporate apartment in Streeterville on 37 separate occasions over 6 weeks. We have expense reports showing Mr. Blanc charged those hotel rooms to company accounts, categorizing them as client entertainment. We've cross-referenced with his actual client meetings. Zero correlation. Would you like to address that? Harrington's jaw tightens. I'd like to see that data and verify its accuracy. Patricia slides a thick folder across the table. $42,000 in fraudulent expense claims over 6 weeks. All documented with GPS timestamps, credit card receipts, hotel records, and company calendar data showing no legitimate business purpose. All happening while Mr. Blanc was driving his wife's company vehicle without authorization. Let's discuss Linda Wendell, Patricia says. Mr. Blanc's executive assistant. Mrs. Blanc, can you describe what you observed regarding their relationship? I tell them about the earring. The restaurant receipts. The morning Brenda saw them in the car together, laughing, comfortable. Francia's testimony about seeing them in the back seat of my BMW in the parking garage at 9 p.m. Harrington tries to interrupt. Speculation. Hearsay. Mrs. Blanc has no direct knowledge. We have direct knowledge, Sally Morrison says, her voice cutting through his objection. Miss Wendell was interviewed as part of the investigation. Initially she denied any relationship. But when confronted with GPS data showing the car at her apartment building 12 times, hotel records, and witness statements, she admitted to an ongoing affair with Mr. Blanc lasting approximately 4 months. The room goes quiet. She also stated, Sally continues, pulling out a transcript, that Mr. Blanc told her his marriage was essentially over, that he and Mrs. Blanc were staying together for appearances, that he was planning to divorce her as soon as the timing was right, and that he'd promised to promote Miss Wendell to VP of Finance once he'd dealt with his wife. Those are direct quotes from Miss Wendell's sworn statement. Harrington's face is carefully neutral, but I can see him recalculating his strategy. Furthermore, Sally says, Miss Wendell is the 4th woman in 10 years to report a sexual relationship with Mr. Blanc while he was in a position of authority over her employment. The 3rd to report retaliation when she attempted to end the relationship. We have documented patterns of abuse of power, sexual harassment, and retaliation spanning Mr. Blanc's entire tenure at Morrison & White. Detective Alvin Green is called to testify via video conference, his face appearing on a large screen at the end of the conference table. He's in his office at CPD, looking professional and serious. Patricia asks the questions. Detective Green, can you walk us through your findings regarding the financial investigation? Certainly. We tracked cash withdrawals from joint accounts belonging to Mr. and Mrs. Blanc totaling $83,000 over 2 months. Mr. Blanc made all withdrawals. We traced $35,000 of that cash to a real estate purchase, a condominium in Miami Beach, Florida, purchased 6 months ago. The property is valued at approximately $850,000. And who owns this property? It's registered to a Delaware LLC called JB Properties, which is controlled solely by Jason Blanc. Mrs. Blanc's name appears nowhere on the deed or ownership documents. Detective, in your professional opinion as a financial crimes investigator with 15 years of experience, what was Mr. Blanc's intent in making these purchases? To hide marital assets from his wife in anticipation of divorce. To ensure that when the marriage ended, which he was clearly planning for, he would retain significant wealth while Mrs. Blanc would be left with minimal resources. This is a textbook case of asset dissipation with intent to defraud a spouse. That's speculation, Harrington objects. It's forensic analysis based on documented behavior patterns, Detective Green responds calmly. Mr. Blanc withdrew cash specifically to avoid paper trails. He purchased property in his name only through an LLC specifically to hide the transaction. He moved money out of joint accounts while simultaneously preventing his wife from accessing account information. He told his mistress he was planning to divorce his wife. These aren't coincidences. This is systematic, premeditated financial fraud. At 4 p.m., after 8 hours of testimony and evidence presentation, Harrington calls for a break. He and Jason step into a private office. Through the glass wall, I can see Harrington talking animatedly, papers spread across the desk, Jason's face getting redder and redder. 15 minutes later, they return. My client would like to make a statement, Harrington says, and his voice has lost some of its confidence. Jason doesn't look at me. Just stares at the table, his hands clasped in front of him, and speaks in a flat, defeated voice that I've never heard from him before. I acknowledge that I used company property without proper authorization. I acknowledge that certain expense reports may have been incorrectly categorized. I'm prepared to offer full restitution to Morrison and White and to resign my position effective immediately. And the affair? Patricia asks. Jason's jaw clenches. He's silent for a long moment. I admit to an inappropriate relationship with Miss Wendell that violated company policy. I regret any pain this has caused my wife. And the financial fraud? The hidden assets? The career sabotage? The other women who've come forward? I dispute those characterizations, Jason says, but there's no force behind it. But in the interest of resolving this matter quickly and avoiding prolonged litigation, I'm willing to negotiate a settlement with the company and with my wife. Harrington leans forward. My client is prepared to offer Mrs. Blanc a generous divorce settlement. She keeps the townhouse, half of all documented marital assets, and we both move forward with our lives separately. In exchange, Mrs. Blanc agrees not to cooperate with any criminal prosecution and signs a non-disclosure agreement regarding all matters related to the marriage and Mr. Blank's employment. I look at Jason directly for the first time today. He looks smaller somehow. Diminished. The powerful CFO who controlled everything, reduced to a man trying to buy his way out of consequences. His perfect hair is slightly mussed. His tie is loosened. The mask has finally fallen completely away. No, I say quietly. Harrington blinks. I'm sorry. No settlement. No NDA. I want everything documented. I want the investigation completed thoroughly. I want every woman he manipulated to have her story heard and validated. I want Morrison and White to implement policies so this never happens to anyone else again. And I want Jason to face actual consequences for what he's done, legal consequences, professional consequences, all of it. Jason finally looks at me, and his voice cracks. Alicia. You had 5 years to do the right thing, I say, and I'm surprised by how steady my voice is. 5 years to treat me with respect. 5 years to be honest. 5 years to be the partner you promised to be. You chose manipulation, fraud, affairs, and financial abuse instead. You chose to destroy my career while building yours on lies. You chose to plan your exit strategy and leave me with nothing. Now you get to face the consequences of those choices. Jason's composure finally breaks. Do you have any idea what you're doing? This will destroy me. I'll never work in finance again. I'll lose everything. You should have thought of that before you committed multiple felonies, I say. Harrington tries one more time. Mrs. Blanc, if you don't settle, this goes to court. Everything becomes public. Your marriage, your private life, every detail gets exposed. The media will be involved. Your reputation could be damaged. My reputation? I almost laugh. My reputation is that I stood up to a man who was abusing his power and breaking the law. That I chose truth over protecting someone who didn't deserve protection. I can live with that reputation. I stand up, gathering my purse and my documents. I'm done here. Patricia, let me know what the next steps are. And I walk out of that conference room, leaving Jason and his expensive lawyer and all of their settlement offers behind. Patricia closes her legal pad and looks at me directly. Alicia, here's what's going to happen. We're opening a formal investigation, both the car and the career interference. This will involve HR, legal, and an outside investigator for impartiality. An outside investigator? Jason is C-suite, Clive explains. We need someone independent. Brenda walks to the window, rain streaking the glass. This is going to get ugly. Jason will fight. His lawyer will come after everyone. Are you prepared? I think about Jason's face when security escorted him out. I can't go back to how things were. You won't have to, Patricia says. First, we're retrieving your car today. If he doesn't return the keys within 2 hours, we report it as stolen. Second, document everything. Every text, email, voicemail from Jason. Don't delete anything. Don't respond. Just save it all. Third, Brenda adds, you're taking the rest of the day off. Don't stay in this building. Do you have somewhere safe? I think about our townhouse. I can't go home. Friends? Family? My friend Francia. Francia Simmons in Wicker Park. Call her. Tell her you need a place to stay. Don't give details yet, active investigation. Frank escorts me to a small conference room on the 51st floor. I pull out my phone. 17 missed calls from Jason. 3 texts. Call me now. Don't do this, Alicia. Think about what you're throwing away. Fine. If this is how you want to play it, don't expect me to go easy on you. I call Francia. She answers on the second ring. Hey, stranger. Francia. My voice cracks. I need help. Her tone changes instantly. What happened? I can't explain right now. But I need somewhere to stay tonight. Maybe longer. Can I stay with you? Of course. Absolutely. Do you need me to come get you? No, I'll Uber. I can't go home. This is about Jason, isn't it? I can't talk about it yet. But yes. Say no more. I'm here. Whatever you need. An hour later, Patricia texts, car retrieved from 900 N Michigan underground lot. In your spot now. Keys at security. GPS records pulled. You'll want to see this tomorrow. That second text makes my stomach drop. What did they find? My phone rings. Unknown number. Mrs. Blanc? Detective Alvin Green, Chicago PD Financial Crimes Division. I understand there's been unauthorized use of company property at Morrison and White. I'm working with your legal team. I need to ask you questions. The police? My voice comes out as a whisper. Why are the police involved? When a company executive misappropriates assets valued over $50,000, it crosses into criminal territory. Your vehicle is valued at $72,000. 6 weeks unauthorized use, combined with preliminary expense fraud evidence, makes this criminal. Your husband could face charges. I sit down heavily. Criminal charges? That's what we're determining. Can you come to the station tomorrow? 9 a.m.? Bring documentation, texts, emails, anything relevant. Yes. Okay. And Mrs. Blanc? If your husband contacts you, don't engage. Document and report immediately. For your safety. My phone buzzes constantly now. More texts from Jason. The police? Really, Alicia? You're destroying everything we built over a misunderstanding? I gave you everything. I supported your career. And this is how you repay me? I'm coming home tonight. We're going to discuss this like adults. That last message makes my blood run cold. He's coming home where he assumes I'll be. I text Francia, can you help me get things from my house? Before Jason gets there. Her response, on my way. Be there in 20. Francia pulls up in her Honda 20 minutes later. We drive to the townhouse on Burling Street through the rain. Jason's Tesla isn't there yet. We have maybe an hour. How much do you need? Francia asks. Everything important. Clothes, documents, laptop. My hands shake unlocking the door. The house smells like Jason's cologne, Tom Ford wood. Everything looks exactly as I left it this morning. Our life together, now feeling like a crime scene. Bedroom first, Francia says. Clothes for a week. Then documents, passport, birth certificate, financial records. We work quickly. Francia fills a suitcase while I go through desk drawers. Passport, social security card, bank statements. My career folder with performance reviews and contracts. In the back drawer, I find a flash drive. I remember now, 2 years ago, I'd started backing up things. Emails that seemed off. Performance reviews that didn't match my work. I pocket it. Alicia. Francia calls from upstairs. We need to go. Jason's Tesla just turned onto Burling. My heart stops. How far? 2 houses down. We grab everything, out the back door, through the side gate, into Francia's car parked strategically down the street. Just as I hear Jason's Tesla pull into the driveway. Francia drives away quickly but not suspiciously. In the mirror, I see Jason get out, looking at the house. Looking for my car that isn't there. That was close, Francia says. My phone buzzes. Jason calling. I decline. Text, your car is back but you're not here. Where are you? We need to talk. Another, don't make this harder than it has to be. Come home. We can fix this. I turn my phone to silent and lean back against the seat. You okay? Francia asks. No, I say honestly. But I will be. Morrison and White's board meets on a Thursday afternoon in late October. Brenda calls me into her office at 5 p.m., the setting sun painting Lake Michigan orange through her windows. It's done, she says. Jason's been terminated for cause. Unanimous vote. He's being reported to the SEC for securities fraud, to the Illinois Attorney Registration for disciplinary action, and to the CFA Institute. He'll lose his licenses. And the money? He's paying back every dollar, $470,000, plus interest. If he can't pay, we seize assets, including the Miami condo. The state's attorney filed criminal charges, embezzlement, fraud, identity theft. I feel something release in my chest. What about the other women? We're settling with all of them. Substantial amounts, confidential. And we're implementing new policies, external HR for executive complaints, anonymous reporting, regular independent audits, separation of duties. No single executive can approve their own expenses anymore. Brenda sits on her desk edge. Alicia, I owe you an apology. This happened on my watch. Jason operated for 13 years and I didn't see it. He was good at hiding it. That's not an excuse. We should have protected you and those women better. She pauses. The board wants to offer you Jason's position. Chief Financial Officer. I stare at her. You're offering me Jason's job. You're qualified. MBA, 10 years experience, and you've demonstrated more integrity than Jason showed in his entire career. The board trusts you. You've earned this through your work, not through what happened with Jason. I need to think about it. Take your time. But Alicia, you deserve this position. The divorce is finalized in November, 3 months after that morning in the parking lot. No trial, Jason's lawyer advised him to settle once criminal charges were filed. I get the townhouse, though I'll probably sell it. Half of all legitimate marital assets. Full restitution for the stolen money, $83,000. And something unexpected, Jason must pay for 3 years of therapy for me. Court-ordered acknowledgement that his behavior caused psychological harm. My lawyer, Jennifer White, smiles as we leave the Daily Center. You did good. Most people don't get this level of vindication. It doesn't feel like vindication. It feels like surviving. That's because you're still in it. Give it time. Healing isn't instant. In December, I moved to a high-rise apartment in River North. 23rd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the city that takes my breath away. The Chicago skyline, the lake beyond, everything glittering with possibility. Francia helps me move in with Mindy and other colleagues who've become real friends. This place is amazing, Francia says at the window, snowflakes swirling past. You can see the whole city. I can see my whole life, I say quietly. And for the first time in 5 years, I get to decide what it looks like. I accept the CFO position in January. Corner office, significant raise, equity, board seat. My first board meeting, I present new financial oversight policies designed to prevent what Jason did. Clive Morrison speaks when I finish. This should have been implemented years ago. Thank you for having the courage to push for it. In March, I speak at a women's leadership conference at the University of Chicago. 300 women in the audience. The hardest part, I say, gripping the podium, wasn't fighting back. It was recognizing I needed to fight in the first place. Because when someone spends years convincing you that you're the problem, believing you deserve better becomes an act of revolution. The applause is thunderous. Afterward, women approach me. Each with a story. A manipulative boss. A controlling partner. A system that protected abusers. Thank you, one young woman says, tears in her eyes. I thought I was going crazy. Your story made me realize I'm not. That's when I know it was worth it. Not just for me. For every woman who needs permission to trust herself. I see Jason on a Saturday afternoon in April. Spring in Chicago, trees blooming, people out enjoying warmth after winter. I'm leaving a coffee shop in Lincoln Park, and there he is. We both stop. He looks different. Older. Diminished. In jeans and a Northwestern sweatshirt, I've never seen Jason in casual clothes. Always suits, always performing. Alicia. His voice is quiet. Jason. Awkward silence. I heard about your promotion, he says. CFO. That's good. You deserve it. Thank you. I'm at a startup in Evanston now. Financial analyst. Much smaller. It's humbling. I'm sure. For what it's worth, Jason says, his voice cracking, I'm sorry. For all of it. I've been in therapy, court-ordered, but I'm still going. I'm starting to understand what I did to you. To all of you. I look at him. This man who controlled my life for 5 years. Who made me doubt my reality. Who stole, lied, manipulated. And I feel nothing. No anger. No bitterness. Just recognition that he's a stranger now. I hope therapy helps you, I say, and I mean it. Not for me, I've moved on. But for whoever comes next. There's no one next, Jason says quietly. Linda left after everything came out. My family barely speaks to me. I'm alone. Then maybe you'll finally figure out who you are without someone to control. I walk past him. Don't look back. Just keep walking to my car and drive away. And I feel lighter than I have in years. I'm standing in my corner office on the 52nd floor, watching the sun set over Lake Michigan. It's been exactly 1 year since that Tuesday morning. 1 year since Brenda asked why I came in a taxi. 1 year since my life fell apart and rebuilt itself into something better. My phone buzzes. Text from Melody Green, the woman who called me last year about Jason's pattern. We've become friends. Coffee this week? Mentorship program expansion. The mentorship program. My project. Connecting junior women with senior executives, creating safe reporting channels, building networks so no one faces what I faced alone. Started at Morrison & White, now expanding to 3 other Chicago firms. That evening, Francia arrives with wine and bakery treats. Anniversary, she says. 1 year since you cried on my couch. We're celebrating. Celebrate my marriage falling apart? Celebrate you finding yourself again. We sit on my balcony, 23 floors up, the city glittering below. Do you ever regret it? Francia asks. Speaking up? The chaos that followed? I think about everything. The investigation. The harassment. The family who stopped speaking to me. The nights I couldn't sleep. The moment I almost gave up. No, I say finally. I regret how long it took me to speak up. But I don't regret speaking up. Good. Because you changed things. The oversight systems, the mentorship program, that's your legacy. Women shouldn't have to blow up their lives for basic protection. No. But until the system changes completely, we need people brave enough to fight. You fought. You won. Now you're making sure others don't fight alone. I wake up the next morning at 6:15. But instead of dread, I feel anticipation. I make coffee, good coffee, the kind I actually like. French press with local beans, not instant in a microwave. I get dressed in a suit that makes me feel powerful. Charcoal gray, perfectly tailored. Exactly what I am, CFO of a major financial firm. I drive to work, morning sun catching the lake. I park in my designated spot. I walk into the building where my name is on the directory, Alicia Green, Chief Financial Officer. And I think about that Tuesday morning 1 year ago. Standing in the parking lot. Watching Jason drive away. Brenda asking that simple question. Why did you come in a taxi today? Such a simple question. Such enormous consequences. But consequences I'd choose again in a heartbeat. Because I learned something this year. The cost of peace isn't supposed to be pieces of yourself. The cost of comfort isn't supposed to be your dignity. The cost of staying isn't supposed to be your identity. And I'm done paying those prices. I'm whole now. Finally, completely whole. My career is mine. My money is mine. My decisions are mine. My future is mine. I have work that matters, friends who support me, a city I love. And most importantly, I have myself back. That's worth everything. I walk into my office, set down my coffee, look out at Lake Michigan sparkling in the morning sun, and smile. This is my life now. The one I chose. The one I fought for. The one I built from the ruins. And it's better than anything Jason ever let me imagine. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.